started then. I am going to record this call for anybody that's not with us. Tonight, as in our Diamond internship here, we have brought to you Kim Carver. If you don't know who Kim is, he is the Senior Director of Field Development and Hispanic Sales at Team Beachbody, aka he's really an awesome and important guy over at corporate. And I have personally had the privilege to hear Kim. The first time I heard you, Kim, was at the 3 Vital Behaviors training out in Pittsburgh, and that was amazing. Okay. And then I just spent some time with you in Destin, Florida, which was amazing, at our leadership retreat. And that's something, as you know, people pushing for Diamond and 1-star, that events like that are crucial and critical to your business and really game changing, because you get to hear from people like Kim. So we have asked Kim to join us on our call tonight, and we just thank you so much, Kim, for coming and for spending your time. I know it's precious with us this evening. So without further ado, I'll hand it to you, Kim.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I'm coming from Utah here. We're just wrapping up the day, and this is a good way for me to end the day. I hope you got this. This is kind of the normal preamble I give when I do these calls. But my goal on these always is to help people take next steps. Honestly, if I'm to distill it down to just kind of one simple idea, all of you are probably at different places, kind of facing maybe different things or unique things to you. And the challenge that I have, and the thing that I come hopefully prepared to do, is to provide a discussion or some information or some insight or some motivation to help you kind of have a few things click, or to help you just have the courage to take that next step. And the thing that I'm going to kind of warn about is at the beginning of these is, again, and is that sometimes we can get off these calls and we can have really good intentions of doing things differently, but our habits can really quickly overpower those good intentions if we're not careful. And so what I invite you to do is, either during the call or after the call, if there's some of those moments where you kind of have something click or something that's like, I need to do this, that you make a decision. And a decision is different than from a good intention in this way. A decision kind of has a direction, like I'm going to do this. It has kind of a game plan of this is how I'm going to do it, or at least this is how I'm going to start. And then it has some kind of an accountability piece built into it. That's when you know you've made a decision. So I hope that I can create or do something to help you guys make some decisions to take some of these next steps forward. And we've got a great group here. You guys are working hard. You're where you're supposed to be with your business in terms of you're facing the things that most people face at this stage, and that's great. One of the things that you have is this enviable platform as a coach. And I say it's an enviable platform because sometimes we take it for granted how cool it is, or what an awesome opportunity it is to be a coach. And sometimes we start to even diminish it if we're not careful, because we start to realize that it does require work and effort. It requires personal growth of us to really realize its potential. And that's okay. I mean, that's okay. As you get to know that part of your business, you'll figure that out. I want to invite you to consider for just a minute as we get started here the mission of our company. And I say our company. You have your own businesses. I represent Team Beachbody, but there's a really unifying mission that we all hopefully have, which is to help people achieve their goals and live a healthy, fulfilling life. And the reason why I want to start that way is because I believe that that's kind of at the core of what makes our business successful and your business successful, is when people feel like our sincere focus, our sincere, drive is to help them reach their goals and see results and live those healthy, fulfilling lives. It's a funny thing when you think about it. I guess I could say it's really easy to put too much of yourself in your business, especially at this stage of your business when you're trying to keep track of points and Success Club this and its rank events with this. And pretty soon, if you're not careful, you get so obsessed with all of those things that you forget that the people you're talking to don't care, and they don't care. And their ability, their feeling like you're connected with them is really what's going to determine all that other stuff. And so I invite you for a second just to consider that. Have I lost myself on that? Am I centered on that? Do I have that there? Because what I want to talk to you tonight about is kind of about the fundamentals. And I know and I guess if I let out, I should probably find a different word to say that so that I don't bore you guys. But the reason why I say that is our business is simple. It's not easy, but it's not complicated. We put people first. We leverage the platform that's been created. You leverage the platform that's been created for you as a coach to help people get those results. You go through the process of helping do that. Now, there are some skills that come along with that. We'll talk about those in just a little bit. But the thing I want to stick in your brain a little bit is don't stray too far away from the fundamentals. Don't get enamored with chasing the secret. Guys, there will be hundreds of people that will be willing to sell you access to their secrets, to their tricks of the trade, and I would encourage you to not fall for that. I would encourage you to, instead of chasing the secrets of the business, just learn the dang business. Just take the time to learn the business. Pour yourself into that mundane, boring, day in and day out, same thing over and over and over again, part of the business. I'm going to talk about that in just a second, because that's how you get good at being a coach, and that's how you get good at anything if you really think about it. So when we talk about the fundamentals, an example I like to use is that of a sprinter. I don't know about you guys, but I watch the Olympics. I'm kind of an Olympics junkie, and my favorite is the Summer Olympics, always. And so this year, watching all the Olympics, my favorite events are always the track and field. And a while ago, I learned that track and field is a little bit like our business. Sprinting specific is a lot like our business in that there are some key fundamentals of sprinting. It's real simple. Stride length plus frequency equals speed. Stride length plus frequency equals speed. And so when you're training these world-class sprinters, it's not that they run different than me or you. They just do the fundamentals a heck of a lot better, well, at least than me. I don't know how fast you guys are, but they're a lot faster than me, okay? And so when you get these elite athletes, when you talk to their coaches, it's not like they're saying, oh, I'm teaching them to run more on their toes, or I'm teaching them to run more this way, or to go on that. No, they're saying, I'm teaching them how to execute better, because for a flash, whether it's 10 seconds or 20 seconds, the person who executes the best on those fundamentals is the person that wins, especially when you're talking of a difference of hundredths of a second, okay? Stride length plus frequency equals speed. So that, to me, the reason why that always stood out to me from our business is when we talk about the 4 vital behaviors, for example, those are kind of that fundamentals of our business. Be proof the products work, invite, recognize, do personal development. Those things that when you start saying them, people kind of go, whatever. That's like stride length plus frequency equals speed. Those 4 things put into play. Now, does that mean just knowing them doesn't mean that you're good at them? Just knowing them doesn't mean that they're going to bring the results in your business, right? Now we got to talk about how we do those things. And again, but I guess what I'm saying is all of this preamble is to just tell you at this stage of your business especially, just stop chasing the secrets and start learning the skills, if you will, okay, of the business, all right? So let's talk about that. When I work with coaches, there's a pretty simple kind of an approach I take. And I always like to make sure that we touch on these touch points. The first thing is, and it can really be distilled down, if you will, into 5 questions, all right? Why do you coach? Why do you care about me as a customer? What do you see in me? Can you help me see it? And can you show me how to do it? Why do I coach? Well, guys, how do I say this? To get good at anything, coaching or anything, it requires consistency and it requires engagement, all right? You only do the things that you care about, you only do things consistently when they matter to you, when they have a purpose behind that. And so that little, when we talk about having your why and your purpose, it's not so that you just that you'll overcome obstacles and things like that. Yeah, that's all true. That's all part of it. But you have to say, look, I have to have a purpose in my business, because if I want to be consistent, it's got to matter to me. Okay, it's got to matter to me. So why do I coach? Then the second one now is, then why do you care about me, like I talked about? And that's where, and I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but that's where this pivot happens, where it is your business, but your business isn't about you. How do I make sure that happens with every person that I talk to, that they see me as someone who's sincerely interested in helping them wherever they're at? Do you care about me? If you think about any type of a transaction where you've bought something where you've come away and had a really good experience about it, I can promise you at the center of that, the core of that was trust, and the person that talking to you was really trying to help you. So that's no different for your business. The third question then was, what do you see in me? Meaning talking like a customer, help me build belief in myself. Or if I'm talking to coaches, help me build belief, help me see that. Most people are going to come to you and they're not going to have a real strong belief system that way. And so how do you do that? Well, you don't do it by chasing them. You don't do it by spoon feeding them everything. You don't do it by making it easier. You do it by telling them the truth about what it takes to be successful in the challenge group or be successful as a coach, by training them, by helping them see how to do that, and then letting them know that they can do it. All right? Letting them know they can do that and fostering belief in that. And that's what that fourth question is, can you help me see it? Okay, most people aren't good at seeing it that way. Most people aren't good at that. So can you help me see it? Help me understand what that is, okay? Not, again, spoon feeding it to me, but help me see it. And the last one is, can you show me how to do it? Okay, not can you do it for me, but can you show me how to do it? Okay, one of the best things that we do, or as a company, one of the best things that you do as coaches is you return back to people belief in the power of their choices to shape their life. If you think about that, think about your challengers, think about your coaches. When you do that right, you really are returning back to them belief. I say returning back because at some time in their life they had it. When they were little kids, sometime in their life they believed that the choices that they made, the decisions that they had were what dictated the outcomes in their life. But along the way, a lot of people lose that. They just kind of throw up their hands and they let life happen to them. What you're doing, what your platform is in your challenge group and in your coach mentoring is, in a lot of ways, returning back to that person belief in the power of their decisions to help shape their lives. And that will change their life. It really, really will. So that brings me now to the how. So how do we do all this? This is all fun, Kim. Fun, touchy-feely, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about this now. And I'm going to talk about it in terms of the 4 vital behaviors, all right? I'm going to be pretty quick about this, and then I'll give some examples, leave the story, and then I'll leave it open up for questions and answers. Now, this isn't going to be a 4 vital behaviors training. Those of you that have been to one of mine, don't worry, this isn't like a rehash of that. But I do want to talk specifically about a couple key aspects of each one of the vital behaviors, and then kind of an action item behind that for you, okay? So first one, being proof the products work. Vital behavior number, your business starts with you. Your business starts with you. You are your best marketing tool, okay? When you're proof that the products work, that's how we build credibility and trust. I know you guys get all of this, all right? But I want to remind it to you. One of the things that this does when you're proof that products work and you're consistently taught and you're building this credibility and trust through showing people your own journey, talking about what you do, not trying to sell them, but again, building connections around that. One of the things you start to do is you start to occupy mental real estate in people's mind, okay? Just like right now, if I were to say, Italian food, chances are right now some restaurants are popping into your mind, right? If I were to say favorite actors, something was popping into your mind. People naturally they look to make associations. What you're trying to do is you're trying to occupy some mental real estate in their mind by being consistent enough, being proof the products work, so that when they think about fitness, when they think about health, when they think about that, you're occupying that space in their mind. You're the person that they think about, okay? One of the best things and I talked about this in the Vital Behaviors training, but in my mind, one of the important parts of being proof the products work is it teaches our coaches, okay? It teaches our coaches a very, very important element of successful business, which is discipline. Most, in my opinion, one of the key differentiators from successful and unsuccessful people, especially in coaching, is the level of discipline they bring to their business and bring to what they're trying to do, okay? Most people struggle with this, all right? They struggle to set up schedules. They struggle to be disciplined with their time. They struggle to do those things they know to do to be consistent. They struggle with all of that. But the funny thing is when you're doing a program and you're committing yourself, you're disciplining yourself to getting that workout in, to eating the right portions, to following that program to a T. There's, and I won't get into this, but there's a a principle in psychology that says when you introduce change like this or introduce discipline into someone's mind, it opens up the ability to create more discipline in other areas of their life as well. You'll notice when you're on point with your nutrition, when you're on point with your workouts, it all of a sudden becomes a little bit easier to be on point with your personal development, to be on point with other pieces of your life. Discipline tends to be contagious into other areas of your life. So use being proof the products work as kind of your discipline trigger. So the to-do action out of this one is real simple. We got Quarter Force launching. I would encourage all of you to do Quarter Force, and not just the workouts, but I'm talking to the T, nutrition guide, everything, top to bottom, do the entire program. Do that program, commit to that. I'm sure a lot of you are, but that's the takeaway out of this one, all right? The second vital behavior then is inviting. Now, this is the one that tends to give everyone like the nerves, and this is the one that when we do the 4 vital behaviors training, we spend like an hour and a half talking about it. So I'm not going to try to get into it. This isn't going to be an inviting training, but I'm going to share some principles with you on this, okay? When we talk about inviting, even though this tends to be where people lack consistency, this is where fear tends to live, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged, fear of no's, all kinds of fears live in inviting. And that's because this is the place where you start really extending yourself out to people, which means that this is also the place where all the good stuff that you want from your business starts. Your business really starts to give all those good things once you start extending yourself out to people. So look at inviting as a positive opportunity for people, okay? When we look at inviting, in my experience, the majority of frustrations around inviting don't come from the invitation, people not responding. It comes from their network problems. What I mean by that is we're either not adding enough new people to our network, okay? And so we don't have enough new eyeballs on our message to keep everything kind of moving and fresh. And the second thing is that we're not adding value, okay? So one of the things I like to kind of a to-do item here is you got to pay attention to the people that you're adding to your network. You want to get to a point where you're proactively adding 3 to 5 a day. And I say proactively because I'm not saying I just go accept all those friend requests and then I'm like, okay, good. What I mean is I've actually gone out and joined groups and started conversations, and I've done that enough and engaged enough conversations that those people are connecting with me, or I'm inviting them to connect with me, whatever happens that way. Build your business to where you get about 3 to 5 a day on that. When we talk about adding value to the network, I'm not saying you give away the farm for free, but what I'm saying is you do what they do at Costco. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I go to Costco, they've got this thing down, right? The other day I'm walking by, it was a couple months ago, and there was this huge ham, it wrapped in red. It was this big ham, and it was like $50. And I promise you, if that $50 ham was just sitting there, there's no way in the world I would be like, you know what, I need some ham right now. I'm going to get this $50 ham. But they had this really nice lady that was up there cutting up the ham, and all my kids went over there, and they got the little ham samples. And my wife went over, and the lady was talking to her about how she could make it in some soups, and it's this and that. Look how easy it is. It's already cooked, and it's spiral cut, and all this stuff. And pretty soon, guess what was in my basket? A $50 ham. Okay, and so how do we add value like this? Well, every time you share recipes, you do free groups, you do a fit club, you answer questions, you engage that with. This is giving them little samples of what it's like to have you as a coach. I've heard the term breadcrumbing as well, but am I doing things effectively to let people kind of know what it's like to have me as a coach and to show them that I value them and their connection they have with me? In my experience, making sure I've got new people's eyeballs on my message and adding value to my network, that whole sampling, breadcrumbing element of it, doing that tends to be a precursor to sustained success in inviting. But when we actually get to the inviting, now this is where all the training takes in, and I'm not going to jump into the details on this, but I'm going to give you a very simple concept, okay? What I want you to do on training, on inviting, is just take yourself out of the equation. Just take yourself out of the equation. And what I mean by that is when you go to invite someone, don't write the post for 2 hours. Okay, don't write the invitation and rewrite it and then write it again, because all you're doing is you're getting so preoccupied of what they're going to think about you. What are they going to think about me? What does this communicate about me? Take you out of the equation. Focus on them. Let your 100% core be focused on that person. And then just Be curious. Ask them questions. Okay, if you were, now let's say you're talking about a challenge group. If you were to do this, what would you want to get out of this? What would success look like after 60 days with this program for you? Why would this matter? I want to make sure this is the right fit for you. Be genuinely interested in finding out what their goals are, and I promise you that being genuine will overcome a lot of will be more important than anything else. I'll tell you this right now, guys. One of the things about teaching skills, there's no secret sauce to invite. There's no secret formula to that. Be genuine with people. Talk to people. Don't try to technique people. People don't like to be techniqued, and they can tell when they're being techniqued. So just ask questions. Your job, you want them to get results. Okay, great. So is it the right time for them? And if it's the right time, okay, then or maybe not it's the right time, that may be even too general. Is this something that would really help them? Are they interested in it right now? If so, why? And then all the invitation is, you guys, is a decision to start. Once they've said, this is something I need to do, this is this, I've seen this, okay, I can see. Then the invitation is just a decision to get started. The invitation is not a referendum on you as a person. It's not a referendum on your business. It's not a referendum on your value to the human race. It's none of that stuff, okay? It's just an invitation to get started. And if they say no, you can ask some questions about it, because chances are they're going to come to you and they're not used to saying yes to those types of decisions. So your job is to push them just a little bit appropriately. But at the end of the day, you guys, all you're doing is asking them to make a decision to start on something that they need. That's it, okay? So remember those pieces. So here's the to-do list out of inviting. For the next, what do we have now? 2 months? 2 months and 5 days, okay, left in the year. My challenge to you in this aspect is to be more disciplined in your inviting, okay? Meaning adding people to my network, making sure I'm adding value to my network, and then I'm taking myself out of the equation. And to do that by trying to start more conversations in the next 2.5 months than you did in the last 6 months. How are you going to do that? How are you going to reach out to those people? Well, get creative. Think about it. Push yourself in that regard. Let that happen for you, okay? Create a daily action plan that you can be accountable to. All right. Third vital behavior, recognition. I'll be real quick on this. The only thing I want you to think about in terms of recognition is that it's a concept that Jeff Hill likes to say a lot around here, which is this idea you water what you want to grow. And whatever you recognize is kind of a form of you watering it. So are you using recognition strategically? What are the things in your business that you want to encourage duplication of or repetition of or engagement with? And am I using recognition as a way to do that? Recognition is a competitive advantage you have in your business. Gyms don't do it. No one does it but you guys. And so use it that way, all right? The to-do item on that is just real simple. Look at my recognition. Am I being consistent? And am I being strategic about it to make sure I water what I want to grow? All right. The last one now then is personal development. And personal development is guys, it's one of those things where when you really get into personal development, it's probably one of the best things that will ever come out of coaching for you in the long run is learning that if you want to grow, if you want to grow your business, you kind of have to grow yourself. If you want to grow your life, you have to grow yourself. If you want to achieve things, you kind of have to grow yourself. You have to invest in yourself to get a higher return on things. And that's a very, very true sentiment. Where I want to spend a little bit of time on this, especially this time of year, is on belief in terms of personal development. Typically this time of the year, I've got one of two kinds of people that are kind of stumbling into to calls that I jump on in October and November. They're either what I call pushers or they're pausers. Pushers are the kind of people that have been pushing all year long. They've set goals, they've kind of gone at it, and they've just kind of been relentless. And at this point of the year, they're just fatigued. They're tired. They're like, oh my gosh, like I can't keep doing this anymore. I am so exhausted, okay? Pausers are the kind of people or kind of coaches who maybe took a couple months off, or maybe have kind of been in and out, and haven't been that consistent. And now this time of the year, they're like, you know what, it's kind of December, it's almost November, and it's almost the end of the year, and I've got the holidays coming up, and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just going to just hang out, and I'm going to wait till January, and then I'm going to hit it again. And even if you don't want to admit it, you know who you are if I have any of those on this call, okay? So those are the pausers. For both of you, I want to talk to you in terms of belief. for my pushers, first of all, I want you to take a breath. This is you. And I want you to know that that type of an attitude, you are developing yourself and you're growing yourself. You are becoming a better version of you. And you've got to believe that that's worth it. And you've got to believe that the process will work. Success always lags behind the work done to achieve it. That's one of the hardest things about entrepreneurship, is that you have to understand that the work I'm doing today isn't for my success right now. It's for the success I'm going to have in a month or 2 months or 3 months from now. And so I have to keep doing it in order to bring that predictability, that consistency into my business that I want. And so you got to keep going. Okay, I want to encourage you to find a pace that you can run at, but keep running. Don't sprint, but run, and make sure you end that year strong. You've got to believe that it's worth it. For my pausers, similar message, but that's a little bit different. You've got to believe it's worth it to get started again. Okay. The funny thing about habits is they can work for us or they can work against us. And chances are, if you're a pauser, habits are starting to work against you right now. And the only way you're going to change those habits is if you believe it's worth it to change them. Okay. It is worth it to change them right now. The idea that you can flip a light switch on and off in your business about when I want to engage and when I don't want to engage and be able to be influential in how people follow you is not true. That's one of those elements of entrepreneurship. It doesn't mean you have to be 100% on and not have a good balance in life. No, but there's a consistency level that you've got to maintain. And you've got to believe now that it's worth it to do that. Belief is a funny thing, you guys. Because no matter where you're at the beginning of this call, I started talking about next steps. No matter where you're at, the decision, or I guess the moment of making a good intention into a decision will hinge on your belief. It will hinge on, do I believe that I can actually do it? Do I believe that this weirdo from corporate knows what he's talking about when he says that it'll make a difference? Do I believe that? Do I have enough belief to make that happen? Okay? And that answer that question, I'm gonna say this: you're not doing you or anyone else in your life any favors by playing small. It's not noble to play small. Okay, play big, live big, have the courage to believe in yourself to do big things, or to try at least to do big things. There's risk either way. And so I would say the greater risk is in trying to play it safe or trying to take the well-worn path of mediocrity. So don't. So take the risk associated with playing big. Live life in big, bold, neon colors, not gray tones. Okay? And that's a choice. And that's a choice, and that's a reflection of the decisions that we make. I'm going to tell you a story to end, as is my custom. Those of you that know me know I like to tell stories. But I'm going to tell you a story to end here that talks about belief. With this idea, what are the things that maybe I'm missing out on in my life because of sometimes a lack of belief? A lack of belief that I allow myself to indulge in that keeps you from doing the things I'm capable of, or at least trying. So I met my wife. I'm trying to find a picture of her. This is a family picture from a few years back. I don't know if you guys can, see if I can get you guys to actually see this. So that's my wife. Okay. I'm one of those lucky guys who married way out of his league, and I'm totally fine with that. Like, I won, and I'm very comfortable with that. I don't know how she feels about it, but I came out on top, so I'm good. Without a doubt, the single greatest blessing in my life has been her. She makes marriage easy. We've got 4 beautiful kids. I mean, the rest of my life, I can do nothing, and I will still count myself a lucky man. I don't just say that to be like, oh, what a nice guy. I sincerely mean that. But I almost missed it. I met my wife for the very first time when I saw her when we were in Spain. We were both missionaries for my church. And I saw her come in the room, and I remember the guy next to me, he kind of elbowed me, and he was like, check out the hot, and I looked to check out the hot sister, and I looked over, and there she was, and I was like, man, that girl is beautiful. And the first thing in my mind was, girls like that, have nothing to do with guys like me. Just doesn't happen. It was a thought instilled in me and reinforced frequently throughout grade school and high school. And so I was admiring her from afar. Well, before long, we actually got to know each other. We got to be really good friends. And I remember just being so happy that she was willing to be my friend, right? And just being like so cool that I thought it was like, I felt I had arrived because she was allowing me to be in her orbit. I know that sounds silly, but that's how I felt. Anyway, so I came home from Spain, and I'd been home a little while. My friend Sam was over at my house. My friend Sam was giving me a hard time because he wanted me to go on a double date with him, not with him, but to get a girl and then go together on it. You know what I'm saying? On a double date. And I was just, I didn't really know anybody, and I didn't want to do a blind date. And I was just kind of like, I was just being a jerk about it. And he was getting on my case about it. And finally he reminded me of some story I was getting about Spain. So I went to go get my picture album. This is going to date me. My picture album before I'd flip out my phone, right? And you had to have picture. You had to go print them out, put them in a book. I went to get my picture album so I could show him a picture from the story I was telling him. As I was flipping through the pages, I turned the page, and all of a sudden his arm shot like across my face and pointed at one of the pictures. And I kind of pulled the page back down. I looked where he was pointing, and he was pointing at a picture of Katie. And he said, "Who is that, and when can I meet her?" He kind of considered himself a lady. And I said, "Oh, her name's Katie." And I said, and actually we're friends. And the funny thing is, I said, we're having a little kind of a get-together of people that were in Spain together in 2 days. And if you want, I'll take you, and you can introduce yourself or whatever. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in the way that only good friends can do, he just punched me in the arm. And he said, "You freaking idiot. Why didn't you just ask her out on the date?" And I'm like, whoa, slow your roll there, champ. I said, "Look, I don't want to screw things up with her." I said, "Girls like that don't go on dates with guys like me, Sam. And I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to think it's all weirdness. I don't want to introduce any of that stuff in there that might jeopardize our friendship." Did I want to go on a date with her? Of course I wanted to. She was beautiful. She was awesome. She was fun to talk to, all those kind of things. But I didn't want to take a chance. Stuff, right? And then Sam said something to me that at the time didn't seem like it was that pivotal. But he said to me, he goes, "Kim, if you don't ask her out, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life." And I was like, "Whatever, dude. Okay, blah, blah, blah." 2 days later come. I have this little get together. And I'm sitting at this house, and all of a sudden Katie walked in, and I just get nervous. The butterflies start coming. I still remember it. Actually, it's been 20 years almost, and I still remember it. Actually, over 20 years. And she walks in the room, and it's a few minutes, then she makes eye contact with me and makes her way over to me, and we just start talking. And that was one thing about Katie and I, is we could just talk. We just clicked that way. And we sat there and we talked. We talked about life, things that were going on. We just talked for almost 2 hours. Just like no one else was even at the party, just the two of us. And I got to tell you, during that whole conversation, I was just so like, again, man, this is so cool. I mean, I just love being her friend, and she's all this kind of stuff. In the back of my mind, I was like, you should ask her out. You should ask her out. You should ask her out. I'm like, not going to screw this up. Not going to screw this up. Not going to screw this up. Towards the end of the party, we kind of wrapping things up. She gets up, to leave, kind of walk away. And as she's walking away, I hear Sam's voice in my head. If you don't ask her out, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And so in the most unsmooth way you could possibly imagine, I just blurted out, "Hey, you want to go out Saturday?" And she turned around and she was like, "What?" And all of a sudden I was on defense, right? I was like, do you want to maybe go out on Saturday? And she was like, yeah. But before I even let her answer, I was like, "You know what? Never mind. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it." And she's like, "Yeah, no, I'd like to go." I'm like, "You know what? No, it's okay. I know you're busy. You got that plan with your roommates you were telling me about. Don't worry." She goes, "No, I'd like to go. I think it'd be fine." I was like, "No, seriously, don't worry. Don't worry about it." 3 times I tried to tell her no. Finally, she says, "No, I'd like to go." And before I opened my mouth again, the thought in my head was like, "Doofus, shut up." She said yes, like, stop talking. And so I just like, okay, see you on Saturday. Guys, I was never really good with the ladies, okay, just so everyone knows here. And so we went on that date, and about 8 months later, we were married. And now it's been 19 years and 4 kids and a lot of craziness later, and she's the biggest blessing in my life, and I thank God every day for her. The point of this is this: there are times when I think about that moment and how close I came to missing out on the best thing in my life because I didn't want to believe that it was possible for me. And that's, honestly, it scares me. It makes me think, what other things, when I try to play small and, I don't want to mess things up, or I don't want to intrude, or I don't want to, overstep, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to make them mad, or I don't want to do, and I play small instead of believing that things can be great. What opportunities have I missed? When you look at your business, when we talk about belief now, there are opportunities that are in front of you. But you've got to have at least enough belief to make to match at least a part of that opportunity. Maybe not all of it, but enough belief to start acting on it. So when we think about the next, 2 months, 5 days, like I said, whether you're a pusher or you're a pauser, you're going to have to leverage on that belief. You're going to have to lean on that belief a little bit. And it's not going to happen by having good intentions. After we wrap up this call, I want to do, can't think about it. It's going to happen through decisions that you can make to move your business forward. And as you do that and you discover that in you, man, it's a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty cool experience. So that's it. And I'm happy to answer questions now, or we can just all look at each other in silence awkwardly for a few minutes, whatever you guys want to do. I guess we're going to go for option 2.
You are so awesome. Can I just start by saying that? Thank you so much for
jumping. My pleasure. Thanks for letting me come on.
I mean, you guys.
I keep toasting you guys with my water, so I don't know why, but I'm drinking a lot of water. I've got a marathon next week, so I'm trying to stay hydrated. So, yeah.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, I hope I don't die.
I'm really happy that you did this before my team call, because I'm currently going to go delete all of my slides, and I have so many notes, and I cannot wait to share this with my team. So thank you.
Okay. Hopefully it works for you.
I think so. That was awesome.
Okay, good, Lindsay. Thanks. Questions, you guys, comments? Yeah. I'll stop talking so I give you guys space to talk if you want to. No? Bueller?
You're like the coach whisperer, like the Michael Jordan to us. So you kind of, I know it seems
Michael
odd.
Jordan, Julia.
The Michael Jordan of Beachbody. So anyhow, it's hard to speak because we could just listen to you speak like for 3 hours. I could just sit here and listen to you speak.
Well, hey, come to my vital behaviors training. Then you really can listen to me speak for 3 hours.
Hi, man.
And you'll never, if you listen to him for 3 hours, you'll still be sitting there with the same look on your face.
I guess she'll shut up. So that's a good sign, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys, if you have anything that you want to message me offline, questions, things like that, things that occur to you later, feel free to just private message me on Facebook. Excuse me, that's the part of the bad thing about drinking while you're talking on a call. But I'm happy to answer them or do whatever I can do to help you guys. But honestly, just make something happen these last 2 months. You can do it. You really, really can. You really, really can. Finish the year strong. How you finish this year really starts how you do next year. So I know it's, people aren't necessarily thinking about fitness right now, but a lot are. Honestly, it's not like people stop being worried about their health and their weight right now. But you're also occupying that mental real estate in a strong way. So when they are starting to think about it towards the end of December and into January, you're the one that they think about. Okay.
I have one question for you, Go. If you have a real, like a diamond coach or a 1-star diamond or a 2-star diamond or someone who's put a lot in it, and they're teetering between whether or not they want to do this anymore because they had a big lull, that something happened in their life, and now they don't know if they want to start because they know how much work it took to get to where they wanted to go. How much time do you invest in that person, and how do you kind of guide them? So
I'm a big believer in answering these questions with a real simple idea, Julia, is that you have to teach them that their choices matter. And in this aspect, what I mean by that is this. The temptation is to try to tell them that it'll be easier, it'll be this, because you don't know if it will or if it won't be. But what you can tell them is that they can decide the pace that they want to build. Consistency is what's important. I'm telling you right now, you're better off on a scale of 1 to 10 to stay here at a 5 than to go 8-2, 8-1, 9-1, because people can't keep up with that. So get a pace that you can keep that. So their choices in that regard do matter. Their choices in deciding that, hey, look, you know what? Anything that I'm going to build is going to it's going to require something. In fact, you know what? Can I just read you guys a quick I'm going to read you an intro out of the book I'm reading right now, since you brought it up. This is like story time with Kim. Sorry. But I'm going to read you something. This is a book right here called Grit. And this is going to answer your question a little bit, Julia. Because at the end of the day, understanding their choices matter is important. But it's there, and the reason is because in order for them to get good at it, there's a price you have to pay. You know what I'm saying? You don't walk out on the basketball court and you're Steph Curry just because you really think basketball looks fun, right? You do it because you worked your butt off, and when you didn't want to do it, you just kept doing it, and you kept doing it, and you kept doing it. And so to do that, though, there has to be a purpose behind it, and you have to find out a part of it that you love, that you like, okay? Whether it's helping people, whether it's your own accountability, there has to be a piece in there that matters. So let me read this to you real quick, okay? It's by Angela Duckworth. It's called Grit, okay? And really the premise of this whole book is around this idea of passion and perseverance kind of trumps talent. It really is more, I can't even say Trump anymore without people thinking political stuff, but it's more important than talent, right? So I'm going to read this to you. This is chapter 4. It's How Gritty Are You? She says, I recently gave a lecture on grit to undergraduates at the Wharton School of Business. Even before I'd cleared my notes from the podium, as an aspiring entrepreneur rushed to introduce himself. He was charming, full of energy and enthusiasm that makes teaching young people so rewarding. Breathlessly, he told me a story meant to illustrate his own prodigious grit. Earlier that year, he'd raised thousands of dollars for his startup, going to heroic lengths to do so and pulling several all-nighters in the process. 8, okay? I was impressed and said so, but I hasten to add that grit is more about stamina than intensity, okay? So if you're working on that project with the same energy in a year or two, email me. I can say more about your grit then. He was puzzled. Well, I might not be working on the same thing in a few years. Okay, good point. Lots of ventures that seem promising at the start turn out badly. Lots of optimistic business plans end up in the discarded bin where you have to rework them. Okay, so maybe this particular startup won't be what you're working on. But if you're not working in the same industry, if you're onto some totally unrelated pursuit, then I'm not sure your story or you illustrate grit. You mean I have to stay in one company? He said. Well, not necessarily, but skipping around from one kind of pursuit and company to another, from one skill set to an entirely different one, that's not what gritty people do. But what if I move around a lot, and while I'm doing that, I'm working incredibly hard? Well, grit isn't just working incredibly hard. That's only part of it. And then there was a pause. Why? Well, for one thing, there are no shortcuts to excellence. Developing real expertise, figuring out really hard problems, it all takes time, longer than most people imagine. And then, you've got to apply those skills and produce goods or services or something that are valuable to people. Rome wasn't built in a day. He was listening, so I continued. And here's the really important thing. Grit is about working on something that you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. It's doing what you love. I get that. Right. It's doing what you love, but not just falling in love, staying in love. Maybe I just sent him that whole part, Julia. There's a true principle in that, though, you guys, if you think about it.
I literally just ordered the book and sent it to her while you did that.
Oh, wow. Praise Amazon.
Amazon.
Okay. Man, I'm really glad that book was close by. But there is a true on that, Julia. There is something that's to answer that question, and probably a lot of you, okay? Think about when you're in high school, that last statement. It's easy to fall in love. Sometimes it can be hard to stay in love. But as you know, for those, as I've established, I love my wife, but I love her differently today than I did when we first met each other. And that's because of the investment and the time and the energy and the ups and the downs and everything we've gone through to make that last, to make that work. And I'm a better husband today because of it. Same thing with coaches. That's why sometimes when I get coaches that come to me and they feel like they haven't made progress, they haven't grown, I fight back, push back on that really hard. I'm like, you absolutely are. When you stick with something, you're getting better at it. And even if the outward numbers right now don't manifest that, you're getting better. If you don't quit, if you stay on that path, you're getting better at it. And that will eventually yield those results. The question is if you can stay on the path long enough to see those results manifest themselves. If you've got the grit, as she says, to stick with it, to make that happen. And that's a differentiator between successful people and non-successful people. See, you asked me one question, I give you a 20-minute answer. No wonder no one wants to ask me any questions.
I wanted to say this has been like so helpful. As a new coach, I have a bunch of notes from today.
Good.
And I'm very blessed to have been able to sit in on this today.
Well, thanks for joining. And welcome to coaching.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you guys think? Are we done? We wrapped up? I think everyone's ready to get off the call now. They're looking at me like this is awkward. Let's just end this right now. Somebody hang up, please. Okay.
This was awesome. Thank you again so much, Kim.
My pleasure, you guys.
Appreciate it.
It was great to hear from you as always. And I'll go ahead and post the recording, guys, of this call. I'm going to sound like a national wake-up call, but this is definitely one to go back to and listen to maybe more than once and take some more notes. So thank you so much, Kim.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.